Now more than ever, innovative technologies are fueling change and sparking new ways of thinking. Collaboration between corporations and startups is key to staying at the forefront of these trends. However, finding the right startups can be expensive, time-consuming, and ineffective. But Plug and Play is here to help. As a corporate partner, you will gain access to a whole ecosystem of innovation. Discover startups that meet your tech interests. Stay updated on the latest trends and network with industry peers. We will help you during every stage of your innovation journey, no matter where you are and where you want to go. Get in touch today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Charged Up, Future Innovations in E-Mobility and Electric Vehicle Security. This event is organized in partnership with our founding anchor partner, Istanbul Grand Airport. Thank you all for joining us today. We begin our session in just a few minutes. Before we start, let me introduce myself. I'm Emrecan Kerçek, currently leading the Ventures team here in Istanbul. I will be moderating today's event. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Lale, our Country and Regional Director at Plug and Play Istanbul, for the welcoming speech.
Well, thank you so much, Emrecan, for the great and warm introduction. And hi, everyone. Always a pleasure to host you at our events. Yet there's another exciting one. We're looking forward to making it a great one. If you have obviously any feedback throughout, feel free to reach out and let us know. Well, as Emrecan rightly said, my name is Lale Gözübüyük and I lead Plug and Play's Turkey operations, and I have some regional responsibilities in the EMEA region. The people that follow us know the format of the event already. We follow specific themes, and this event's theme is a rather important one. It's going to be e-mobility and EV, or electrical vehicle security. It's impossible to ignore the rise of the EVs, and hence we'll deep dive to see what's going on today in this landscape. For example, are EVs safe? Are they secure? Or, can we do anything to enhance their security? We'll look at what are the innovation trends and strategic advancements driving e-mobility security forward. What will happen to the issue of the charging infrastructure? What if there's a fire, for example, and what is the best material for the battery? How to keep EVs data safe, etc. Along actually those lines. So you can imagine there are lots of topics that can be discussed, but in the sake of time, we're going to limit our discussions to a few of them. For your future references, if you would like us to focus on other stuff, let us know. We can definitely actually do more about them in our future events. Like we mainly do, in our attempt to peek into the global developments around EV, our main weapon will actually be to present you with some of the top-tier startup technologies around the world. In addition, we will have an insightful keynote speech and we'll have an expert panel discussion at the end. I'll be back for that one. I'll be moderating the panel discussion. Just again, most of you already know Plug and Play. We've been in the country for over 3 years, almost 4 years. But just for those that have recently started to follow us, let me tell you a little bit about Plug and Play. We are known to be the largest innovation platform in the world. We have over 600 well-known corporates as our partners, like iGA, for example. iGA is our founding partner in our Turkey office, and we have over 70,000 startups in our network. We have more than 180 venture capital firms, investors that work with us. So we work with universities, we work with governments, we work with many other stakeholders. We have it. Basically, this creates a huge ecosystem that can make a difference in terms of your innovation goals. Please stay updated on our events and let us know if you want to connect with any of the startups presenting today, or if you want to know anything else for us or for about our partners, let us know. That's basically all I have to say for today, and I hope you have an informative and enjoyable meetup. Now I'll pass the stage to Mr. Fırat Emsen, Chief Technical Officer at iGA Istanbul Airport, who will also welcome you as the co-host of this event. Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you, Lale. Hello to everyone. Welcome to the Charged Up Future Innovations in E-Mobility and Electrical Vehicle Security webinar. I am Fırat Emsen, the Chief Technical Officer at iGA Istanbul Airport. Today, we are proud to host this webinar in collaboration with Plug and Play. At iGA, we recognize the pivotal role of innovation in shaping the future. Our commitment to sustainable solutions and cutting-edge technologies is evident in our endeavors. And today, we are honored to showcase our commitment to innovation. As Istanbul Grand Airport is the busiest airport in Europe, thousands of operations are carried out every day to host our guests in the best way possible. During these operations, business units commonly use EVs. It's very important for us to learn new innovation trends to manage, secure, or optimize the usage of these EVs to provide better services for our stakeholders. This event is created to explore these innovation trends together by watching the top-tier startups in the e-mobility field. Today, we will have a chance to listen to startups from around the globe that will inform us fleet management and optimization, EV battery safety, EV charging, grid management, load balancing, and hydrogen fuel cell technologies. As we look ahead, iGA Istanbul Airport is committed to furthering our efforts in promoting sustainability and innovation in the transportation sector. Our goal for the near future is to integrate even more advanced e-mobility solutions into our operations, ensuring a seamless and environmentally friendly travel experience for all our guests. Together, let's drive towards a brighter and greener future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Fırat Bey and Lale, for setting the stage for us. Next, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Clara de Ros. Clara is an expert in plug-and-play smart cities and mobility vertical and currently works as a ventures associate in our Silicon Valley office. She will now talk about the latest innovation trends in e-mobility. Please take it away, Clara.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much to iGA and Plug and Play Turkey for having me here. It's a pleasure. My name is Clara. I'm a Ventures Associate at Plug and Play. I'm part of the Silicon Valley team, so I work in the mobility vertical with our partners there, which are mostly automotive companies. And I also look for potential investments in the mobility space. So today I'm very happy to be here providing this overview about the e-mobility trends. I'd like to start by going back 120 years in time and looking into this advertisement of the Winton motor carriage, which is basically the first vehicle in history. It's an advertisement in which basically they were trying to convince skepticals about the use of motor carriages instead of horse carriages. Next to it, we have Aptera vehicle, which is an announcement of a recent piece of news in which Aptera was showing this three-wheel electric vehicle that ran only on solar energy with no plugging in. So these two announcements, these two advertisements basically reflect the evolution of the vehicles within history, which has, of course, had an impact in the way we have shaped our cities and the way we are moving people and goods around, and of course, like this evolution of the vehicle has been impacting also the evolution of human beings. However, we can't just stay and talk about the evolution of the vehicle itself, because if we talk about the automotive sector, we have to say that this is a whole transformation, which is basically a sector transitioning from motors to a broader mobility approach. So today, transport opportunities lie in creating efficient, sustainable ways of moving people and goods, and basically giving end users a whole portfolio of options to choose between electric vehicles, internal combustion vehicles, e-bikes, bicycles, ride-hailing, and different sustainable modes of public transportation. So today, this whole ecosystem, mobility ecosystem, is shaped by, of course, traditional OEMs, but also new tech companies such as Lyft, Waymo, Uber, Nuro, Lime, that are entering and making this new ecosystem possible. If we look at if we talk about electric mobility, of course, I think we need to talk about like the latest trends when it comes to macroeconomic numbers and EV sales. So I wanted to say that despite some recent headlines basically saying that electric vehicle sales are slowing down, we are about to reach record numbers in terms of sales in 2024. Global EV sales could hit 17 million electric vehicles being sold, which means that more than 1 in 5 cars sold worldwide will be electric. In 2023, we already had about 14 million of electric vehicles being sold, but we have to say that 95% of them were in China, Europe, and the United States. So these sales remain significantly concentrated in just a few major markets. So China has like 60% of these total EV sales, Europe has a 25%, and the United States have a 10%. If we look at the number of EVs sold per the total, we will see that in China, more than 1 in 3 new cars registration was electric. In Europe, it was over 1 in 5, and in the United States, it was 1 in 10. Another relevant trend when we look at the e-mobility sector is the different new announcements of investments in batteries and EVs that has been occurring like by different OEMs. So this is particularly relevant in the US, where we've seen lots of OEMs partnering with tech companies and announcing new investments in factories, EV factories and battery factories in the North American region. This is basically due to a specific act that was signed in 2022, which is the Inflation Reduction Act. After this act was signed, these OEMs announced a total of 88 billion in new EV and battery factory investments. The reason is because this Inflation Reduction Act is basically announcing some tax reductions to those EVs that have been assembled in the US and whose batteries have a portion of their components being assembled in the US, and also a portion of the minerals, the critical minerals used, have been sourced from the US or the North American region. So the main goal is to reduce the dependence on third countries such as China. And as a consequence, we expect to see not only OEMs investing in batteries and announcing these battery manufacturing investments, but also a lot of startups and a lot of new innovations in the battery space, not only in the US, but also in Europe. If we look at the total automotive funding, now I'm moving more to like the VC landscape and the investment landscape, we will see that the investment has remained flat in 2023 compared to 2022. We came from a record year in 2021 of an overall of 83 billion being invested in mobility startups. It went to half of it a bit more. Like in 2022, we saw $40 billion being invested in mobility startups, and then it remained very similar in 2023. However, we have to say that the number of funding rounds declined by 27% in 2023. So this means that the size of the rounds increased significantly to an average of 52 million from 39 million in 2022. So what we can conclude from this data is that a lot of mobility startups are struggling to get new funding, and this is because a lot of these solutions, a lot of these startups, they need a lot of capital to build their new innovations, to bring them to the market. It's not like a fintech SaaS solutions. They usually require a lot of money to do so. And because of the whole environmental landscape, which is being it's not the best time when it comes to getting capital from VCs and CVCs. So the whole landscape of startups, every vertical is being affected. But I would say when it comes to mobility, this is a bit more evident because of that reason. However, if we look at the segments, we have a positive note here, which is that sustainable mobility is the sector doing better when it comes to attracting new investment. It actually went up by 42% in 2023 compared to 2022 to around $21 billion being invested in the e-mobility space. So when we talk about sustainable mobility, we talk about electric vehicles, fuel cells, and any technology making mobility cleaner. If we look at what happened in the last 10 years, so we took a more like historical perspective, we'll see that mobility services was the space attracting more capital for the last 10 years. So there was a hype around like micromobility solutions, ride-hailing solutions, a lot of investments into big tech companies such as Uber, Lyft, Lime, Bird. However, these kind of technologies, they have been struggling to demonstrate profitability. They have been like some of them had shut down, some of them have been acquired by bigger players. And as a consequence, the interest from investors has moved towards sustainable mobility. And we can see how in 2023, sustainable mobility was the only segment to show growth compared to 2022. This was mainly driven by investments in batteries, investments in electric vehicle and charging solutions, and investments in some OEMs manufacturing electric vehicles. This was in particular in Asian OEMs. So now moving into the technologies that are gaining momentum across the EV value chain, I want to talk about some of the technologies, some of the trends that we have identified within Plug and Play, meaning that we have seen startups popping up in those spaces, or that we have received interest from our partners in these particular technologies. So a lot of these solutions, a lot of these technologies can be applied to the whole automotive ecosystem, but I'm going to focus on how this is going to impact EVs and e-mobility in particular. So starting with R&D, probably this is very relevant when it comes to finding new batteries and increasing the performance of batteries in order to make electric vehicles more appealing for the general market and not just for those enthusiasts of electric mobility. In this sense, we have seen a lot of interest in things related to AI and quantum computing for chemical and material simulation, as well as for discovery and validation of new battery materials. And also a lot of recent interest in things related to generative AI for the design process. So a lot of our corporate partners in the space are looking into solutions, AI solutions that are able to reduce the time it takes to bring a new design, to also to design some specific parts of the vehicle. And as a consequence, we are also seeing more and more startups popping up in the space. This video in particular is from a startup called Leo AI from Israel that was part of our latest mobility event in Silicon Valley. When it comes to production, we've seen also a lot of interest in things related to manufacturing analytics, manufacturing AI copilots, and humanoid robots. So again, the main goal or the main objective is to reduce the cost it takes to produce an electric vehicle so that electric vehicles are able to reach price parity with internal combustion vehicles. In this sense, I wanted to highlight the interest in humanoid robots. As you probably know, Tesla has been working on their own humanoid robot, but we have recently heard about Mercedes partnering with Aptronic, BMW partnering with Figure AI. So a lot of interest from OEM car manufacturers in humanoid robots, which means they may be seeing a possibility of these humanoid robots being part of the whole manufacturing process. And the main idea is that they are able to perform tasks that until now were only being performed by humans. And this is basically the idea of this video, how they are able to manipulate delicate and small pieces of hardware, but also they are able to perform those tasks that can be dangerous for humans. And what is different from humanoids compared to the existing robotic arms that we've seen around is that they are able to move around the factory. They are able to perform different tasks just by programming them using software. You're able to tell them to do a different task one day and a different task like the day after. So this is also very relevant. When it comes to sales and distribution, it is very important for OEMs when it comes to producing electric vehicles to predict the demand. So things related to demand forecasting, in particular in times where we have seen how supply chain disruptions can deeply affect OEMs. This when it comes to producing electric vehicles becomes very relevant. And then we are also seeing a lot of EV financing platforms. So basically solutions that make it easier for enterprises, but also for end users to transition to buy an electric vehicle by making it a bit more affordable with different financial tools. When it comes to the vehicle use, I would say some of the biggest trends or some of the hottest topics around would be V2G, so vehicle to the grid, the possibility of injecting energy into the grid from your vehicle and the possibility of using your EV as a source of power is a very interesting use case. Wireless charging is something that has been around for several years, but we're seeing some interesting startups popping up now with better technologies. And finally, vehicle personalization, which is also very relevant because according to surveys, buyers of electric vehicles give a lot of importance to vehicle personalization. So they wanna see their vehicles are sort of personalized to themselves. They want to have better in-cabin experiences. They want to have better connectivity. They are more willing to share their data to the OEM. So this is also interesting because it opens the door to new revenue streams and new different business models like payments and different solutions in cabin. And finally, related to the aftermarket, I wanted to highlight 3 different technologies, all of them related to the battery. First one is battery recycling, which is, of course, one of the key issues when it comes to making electric vehicles really environmental friendly, because batteries are pollutant and we need to understand how to better recycle them. Then battery safety post-crash. This is related to EV security. And we've seen a lot of startups, not a lot, but some recent startups basically trying to get into this space, which is also very critical, and is how to manage, how to interact with the battery after a crash has happened. And then finally, battery health analytics, which is anything that can help us understand what's the status of our battery and how to increase the lifespan of the battery itself. So with that, I will conclude this overview of e-mobility trends. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any question or if you want to discuss any of these topics, happy to start a conversation or to have a call. So feel free to reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clara, for your invaluable perspective. Today, we explore the intersection of e-mobility and EV security. Next, we will highlight 4 startups transforming transportation for a sustainable future. First, we'll have Soteria Battery from the US. Soteria enables portable electric power without fire risks in any circumstance. Let's hear from Amy at Soteria Battery.
All right, can you see my screen?
We can, Amy, thank you.
Perfect. So Soteria is a technology development company and industry consortium for the battery space, all related to battery safety. So as many of you are aware, lithium-ion battery fires, while they are rare, they do happen, and when they do happen, they can be very dangerous. So highlighting one section of e-mobility in particular, looking at e-bikes here, there were over 250 e-bike fires in 2023 in New York City alone. New York City is not the only city that has faced this issue, but they are one of the most publicly noticed cities in terms of e-bike fires. So just wanted to share a quick video here from the FDNY where you can see this this mobility device. It's not being used, it's not being charged, but it does spontaneously go into thermal runaway. You see those smokes and then you see those flames. And so Soteria is working to really reduce the risk of those safety incidents happening. And that's in any device, whether it is a hearing aid up to electric aviation, and everything in between. We want to help find solutions and address those problems. And how we're doing that today is with 2 technologies that we've developed, also highlighting other technologies in the safety space, and through our industry consortium, we're about 125 partners today throughout the supply chain, and I'll take a closer look at that later as well. So a quick look at how battery fires happen today. So your typical battery is the lithium-ion battery is made with the same kind of 5-layer sandwich structure, starting with your aluminum and copper current collectors that are coated with active materials known as the cathode and anode, and there is a plastic or ceramic coated separator in between those active layers. In the presence of any kind of defect or damage, an internal short will form. The current collectors will start to dump the electrical energy into that internal short. It causes heat to generate, which then causes the plastic separator to start melting and retreating. The short gets worse, and then thermal runaway ignites. What we're doing differently is swapping out a few of those components. So replacing the aluminum and copper foils with metallized films, and replacing the plastic or ceramic coated separator with a non-woven paper-based separator. So in the presence of any kind of defect or damage, that separator has aramid fibers in it that help improve the thermal stability, so it's not going to melt or shrink. The current collectors actually will act as an internal fuse where they pull away from that damage or that internal short, and they stop that energy flow right to that short and allow the rest of the cell to continue functioning. So a quick look at that at a cell level. So these are pouch cells, cell phone size cells. The only difference between the cells on the left and the cells on the right are swapping out a component for one of ours. You can quickly see in the standard cells, they go right into that thermal response, where the cells with Soteria's technology are able to still function at 90% of their capacity after that damage was done. And so I mentioned briefly earlier, we are doing that through a consortium of companies. So we have companies who work on the technology, whether they are the ones producing it, whether they are producing a fiber that goes into it or the plastic that goes into it. We have cell and pack level members who are working on a variety of solutions, whether they are R&D level, commercial level, working on specific cathode anode technologies, and users who have an interest in safer technologies, and then others who may not directly fit in that supply chain, but still have something they're doing in the battery space and have an interest in collaborating for safety. And one thing I wanted to highlight in particular, if I can get to my next slide here, looking at that e-bike market in particular, and this is a project we launched last year, where we wanted to really address that issue together and find ways to really help promote safer batteries out there for the e-mobility industry. And then the idea here is then to take those learnings and to scale into other e-mobility, up to electric vehicles, someday electric aviation. And so what we did was we got together and we tore down used and new e-bike packs to understand safety features or lacking safety features. We also did this study here with Tested HQ where they surveyed over 1,000 e-bike riders to really understand what was important to them, what part of the industry they came from, whether they were just commuting, whether they were delivering like Uber, something like that. And then what we were really surprised to find was 20% of these 1,000 surveyors had direct experience with an e-bike fire. That was just a fact we were not expecting. We thought maybe 1%, but to hear that 20% had seen an issue was really staggering for us. And what we found when we looked at that in more detail was the highest categories for experiencing that fire came from the off-road and touring group and the delivery drivers. So those who are abusing their batteries the most and going off terrain, and then those who are using them the most in delivery drivers. So a quick highlight of some of the things that we saw when we tore down these packs. So what our team did was take packs right off the shelf from the original builder of the pack, and then the alternative cheaper pack that you could find on the market, whether Amazon or Alibaba. And what we took a look at was how do they compare to one another? And externally, and this was the case in almost every pack that we looked at, they looked identical. They looked the same molding, they looked the same materials, but then once you got internal to the battery, you could see a big difference. And we even saw in one case that there may be counterfeit cells in the alternative, which can really lead to some potential issues. We saw cases where people had just glued cells to one another, which can be really dangerous. If one cell were to go off, it could propagate to other cells. And then what we did after we tore down all these packs was come together as a group and identify 4 key features that we think could really help promote a safer pack. And those 4 key features were a heat sink to really allow the heat to get out of the pack if there is any kind of internal rise in temperature, thermally insulating the cells from one another to protect each other from that propagation, fuse element to isolate the cells electrically from one another, and then a vent to help any hot gases escape the pack. In all of the packs that we tore down, we did not see a single vent. So we thought that would really help promote safety. And then what we're doing now is taking these learnings, building them into packs to really see that safety improvement and then propagating them throughout the industry. And then we intend to do that in adjacent e-mobility markets as well. And one other key initiative I wanted to highlight quickly, we are also working on a task force for battery safety education with the Nano Energy Skills Institute. So we are together coming and speaking into where are the gaps in battery safety training today? Who is that target audience? Is it battery technicians? Is it anyone who has a general interest in batteries? Is it first responders who have to deal with these battery events? And really building content that helps them understand what to do in situations, whether it's designing the battery for safer features, whether it is responding to an event. and then propagating that content through the industry. So that's just a quick look at some of the initiatives we work on together. Our whole focus is making sure that every battery out there is safer, and we are very excited to continue partnering with more organizations. And two of our members are presenting today as well, so we are very excited to hear more about what they're working on.
Next, we have Elven Technologies. Founded in 2019, Elven provides super lightweight, flexible, flame-proof composites that withstand extreme temperatures and direct flames. Here to share more is Ramek, the CEO of Elven Technologies.
Hi everyone, thank you guys for inviting me. Let me share my screen in a moment. Thank you, Amy, for preparing the grounds. We are the partner of Soteria, and so I will not have to talk a lot about the battery fires and the problem, describing the problem. But basically, Elven is a Georgian American company where we have invented a fireproof composite, which is absolutely fireproof at 2000 degrees Celsius, which is the peak temperature of the large size lithium battery fires. And it's also completely flexible, meaning that it is very easy to build and put around the battery. It's still patent pending in the US and in the OECD as well, and has been tested by many laboratories, even more than here in the US. And it is compared to everything else that can do the same job. It's extremely light in weight and very low cost. And we'll get to that point. It's basically a composite of 4 materials. We just put 4 different materials which we do not own together, basically off-the-shelf materials. We own the patent pending for the combination itself. And this is the way the material itself looks like. Okay, so it's super flexible. This is the thicker version. We have the thinner versions as well. And if I put a torch that can basically melt most of the metals on Earth, nothing would happen to it. And I could share some videos with you later. So we are planning to use it in multiple different industries wherever a fire or heat is the problem, because it's an amazing insulator as well. We are mostly concentrating on electric vehicles and battery safety, but we have had interest from other fields, and we're gonna or other industries, and we're gonna see that in a moment. So the problem is the battery fire. As Amy said, it's a huge problem, and more cars appear, or EVs appear on the market. And as the old cars get older, the batteries get older, and the chances of the fires increase drastically. So we have seen like 4,000 battery, like EV, specifically EV fires in last year, 2023, with over $10 billion of damage. So like it's a big problem, and it's going to get more and more and worse and worse. So what we're basically doing is we take these electric vehicle batteries and we put them in basically a box which is made out of our material. Okay, and the way it works is that whenever the fire actually happens, neither flame nor heat or explosive forces will escape this enclosure or a box that we build around it. Obviously, we have controlled vents to let the pressure out, but the whole point is that we should completely control the fire inside the box, make sure that it only exits at the space that we want it to exit to. And the whole user experience around it is that when your car catches fire, you can exit your car, wait it out before the battery burns inside the car without damaging anything inside it. And then you just remove the battery, put a new one, and you are good to go. Okay, obviously, well, you wash the car as well. It's very important to mention that this material and the box itself also saves about $1,000 of energy savings every year in the US, because it can keep the battery cool in summer, so it doesn't need that much cooling, and it also can keep the battery warm in winter, so it doesn't need that much heating. And in winter, EVs lose about 30 to 40% battery capacity because of cold, and that wouldn't happen with our enclosure. It's very important to define the competitive landscape. And why are we special? The most important point is that the peak temperature of battery fires is 2000 degrees Celsius. And there is no other flexible material or cheap material in the world that can withstand that. there are only very high weight and very expensive rigid materials like metal ceramics, which are used in space industry, for example, and military, which can withstand the same amount of heat and fire, but they're too costly or heavy for the EV industry. So this makes us the only cost-effective and lightweight material in the world today that can that is cost-effective for the industry and also can do the job. And yesterday we did our first full-size EV battery fire test. Basically, this is the way. I can show you this. I'll show it later. But basically, we put a box around the smart battery, which is 17.6 kilowatt hour, 400 volt battery with LG chem cells in it. We initiated the thermal runaway. It burned actively for 4 hours. And then we let it cool down for 24 hours and open it up. Nothing came out. This is the first proof of concept in large size EV batteries, because we've done the small proof of concepts on scooter batteries as well. I'll actually share the video of the scooter battery right here in the message section, and we're preparing the new test video as well. So yeah, finally the job was done. Nothing came out. We opened the battery up and it was all burned. The cells were actually absolutely gone. There was just a metal casing left in the battery module itself, or this pack itself. We couldn't find cells or trace of cells, to be honest, in the pack anymore. So the way it works, we are mainly working with the licensing model of the material or the product. So we talk with different industry companies. If they have an interest, we sign NDAs, do a tech talk. If they're still interested, we send them samples, they do their own tests, and then we move to a product design, then to product testing, and finally order or license. And our samples are currently being tested at Tesla, Lucid, and Volvo. Soteria is here. Military applications are being tested, also in construction, not for batteries, but actually for protecting rooms and wiring and cables and so on. We're talking with aerospace companies, and we have several interested eVTOLs, including Aleph, which is the flying car, an actual drivable flying car from the US. And the first small sale we've done is with LTA, which is called Lighter Than Air, basically Sergey Brin's, Google's Sergey Brin's pet project of new generation of Zeppelins or airships. And Auvitech is an Estonian e-bus company with whom we're already doing the pilot project, and the battery that we exploded yesterday was of Auvis. Okay, so now we'll be we'll move to the next stage, which is equipping their test cars with our enclosure and doing the drive tests. So we are a crazy team of scientists and engineers who got together to do crazy stuff 5 years ago. It started from an absolutely different field from aerospace. We were actually working on different technologies of the next generation spacesuits, where we came up with this composite. It was not designed to be fireproof. It was only designed to have very low thermal conductivity, but accidentally it became fireproof. So we used it to our advantage, and now we started by actually doing firefighter suits with this, and we pivoted to battery fires about 2 years ago, and we've been doing that since. So technical people, 4 major founders, me, George, Sandro, and Bella, all Georgian. We're still in Tbilisi, and R&D works here. And the business development is in the US. Farid is the head of business development. You can call him strategy officer. He's our first investor who joined the team later with 3 successful exits and huge experience in doing C-level work as well as exits. And very important advisors from the like Thomas Aswell, for example, is the head of the UC Berkeley Fire Lab. So for the scientific perspective as well as business perspective. Ken has been the director of Intel for more than 10 years, and he helps us in writing the deals for licensing and so on. This is basically it. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to receive them. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce SmartKiwi, one of our portfolio companies, actually. SmartKiwi helps mobility companies optimize fleet distribution to increase ridership and reduce costs.
Thank you very much for the invite. My name is Murat. I'm the co-founder and CTO of SmartKiwi, where we specialize in demand forecasting and optimization for supply chain and planning operations in mobility, logistics, and ground operations. The problem we're solving at SmartKiwi is that predicting future demand is hard. It's very difficult because the demand you get for your business or for your operation changes by a lot of different factors, whether it's sunny outside or what's the economic indicators like, whether consumers are likely to purchase or the consumer price index is falling behind. Is there a football match in the city, or what events are happening, or is there traffic? So according to a lot of different real-world events and external factors, the demand for an operation fluctuates on a daily, even hourly basis. At the same time, it's very important for operations to be able to accurately predict demand so they can run a precise and efficient operation. Did you know that inaccurate forecasting and mediocre decision-making can significantly raise operational costs even by 40% in a single quarter? This is based on empirical data from our existing clients. And the solution we bring to this is a hyper-accurate demand forecasting and optimization software to increase operational efficiency and automate decision-making. We specialize in supply-demand planning and supply chain optimization and operational planning optimization. Let me make all of this a bit more concrete for you. For example, in the vertical of mobility, where we work with shared mobility companies, how do you distribute and place your fleet in the most optimal way and you capture all the potential demand? If you have a logistics operation, like a courier fleet, how do you make sure your couriers work more effectively? Similarly, in a food and beverage distribution operation, how do you plan for the number of orders you get and how do you optimize your replenishment? And any sort of planning intensive operation, how do you distribute your workforce in the most efficient way so that you can maximize resource allocation? These are the use cases that we serve for. Let me make all of this a bit more concrete for you. One of our existing clients, the X5 Group, Monogolososia, they're the largest food retailer in Western Asia, and they're running a very large-scale courier fleet operation. We also work with shared mobility companies like Oxdrive or food delivery operations like the Surface Group. And with Istanbul Airport, iGA, we just completed a very successful proof of concept for their very large-scale airport security operations, where we forecasted demand for the security personnel and optimize their distribution within the airport to reduce waiting times. The benefits that SmartKiwi provides is basically increase in operational efficiency by a significant amount. And this is done by optimizing supply-demand discrepancies and optimizing the planning of the operation. Here you can see an example. For example, we are forecasting sales and revenue in this example, and the demand is going to increase because it's the start of school summer holidays, but also there is unreasonably bad weather. And all of these different factors makes the demand fluctuate by a lot. Secondly, we automate operational decision-making as well. And all of this leads to massive reduction in costs, and inefficiencies are improved by more than a half. As a side benefit, accurate demand forecasting maximizes predictability. You know exactly what you plan for, and you can have a timely response to any demand fluctuations. Let me give you a short example from one of our existing clients. Like I said, Monogolososia, it's a very large-scale courier fleet operation, and they're delivering thousands of orders daily from their kitchens. However, the unpredictability of the hourly and daily number of orders, so the demand for the couriers, fluctuates a lot. And the inaccurate estimation of delivery times makes things even worse. We're running multiple projects with them. So we're forecasting on a daily, weekly basis, and also real time, 30 minutes ahead. And we also optimize their markdown and delivery fees. As a result, we enabled significant cost reductions, but also a 34% net revenue increase in collected delivery fees. This was done by our demand-adjusted fee optimization platform. How does all of this work? Behind the scenes, we have an advanced machine learning and AI infrastructure. And on top of it, we add numerous external factors. So we're able to produce improved operational efficiency, and we optimize the resources and the utilization of the assets. And we also automate decision-making. All of this results in significant increases in profitability. What makes us unique is the number of external factors we add into our models so we can capture real-world consumer behavior in an accurate way. Because consumer demand is shaped by real-world events, and AI models cannot detect that. And once you have a more advanced modeling of the weather, holidays, back to school, economic indicators, we're able to pinpoint exact real-world consumer demand. This is done by our decades of expertise in demand planning, forecasting, and operational planning optimization, and also through the numerous demand drivers that we integrate into our models. And here is an example that I'd like to present you. Let's dive deeper into it. So this is from one of our existing clients and an operation in Germany, where they run a large fleet as well. And if you look at the red bars, which is the forecasting error for their current operation, measured over a 20-day period in November in 2023, the forecasting error was around 25 to 30%. With SmartKiwi, we reduced the forecasting error by over 60%. And as a result, they're able to have 7% forecasting error, which translates to 93% accuracy in forecasting the demand the operation is going to get. So who is behind all of this? I'm one of the founders and also the CTO. My background is mostly on tech and the product side of things. I worked at SAP as a demand planner and also at Bloomberg in managerial roles, doing financial data, modeling, and AI. Angelo, my co-founder, has a very operational background. He managed various large-scale fleet operations and supply chain operations. We have a world-class team, both in the UK and in Turkey as well, backed with PhD members, and also world-class advisors. Vitali is the ex-general manager at Uber, and also currently the vice president at Get in the UK. Tom is a principal data scientist at the Department for Transport in the UK, and Ahmed is a Kaggle Grandmaster, which means world's top 10 in competitive machine learning competitions. We're backed by SFC Capital, Plug and Play, and Startup Wise Guys, and our aim is to increase operational efficiency with our sustainable advanced AI technology. So to wrap up, we provide demand forecasting and planning optimization and enable operational excellence. And all of this translates to significant increases in profitability. So if you're ready to transform your operations with precise forecasting and precise planning optimization, I'd love to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Our final presenter is Forge Nano, founded in the US in 2013. Forge Nano upgrades raw materials for improved performance and safety across all market segments. Let's hear from Paul, the CEO of Forge Nano, to learn more.
Great, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Just making sure my screen's up, perfect. So I'm Paul Lichty, I'm the CEO at Forge Nano. At Forge Nano, we're a material science company that's able to unlock very significant and meaningful performance improvements just through the addition of a couple of nanometers or even a couple of atoms of materials. So with that type of world's best material science and materials engineering control, we've built a company since 2011 focused on applying what is a nascent semiconductor technology to the broader material space. So solving problems in advanced magnetic materials, pharmaceuticals, vaccines, and more relevant to this discussion, lithium-ion batteries. We see the reduction in cost, improvement in safety and performance of lithium-ion batteries is one of the key enablers of the energy transition. And we know that in real materials evolution and innovation, it is a step-by-step process, continually improving on top of other work, not necessarily a revolution, as is so often sought. And our platform allows us to integrate a evolution style approach to material science down to the single atom level. So founded in 2011, we've been working in this space for over 13 years. The company now has almost 120 employees. Our patented nanotechnology, which we coin as atomic armor, allows us to apply single atom precision and sell that through our commercial equipment offerings. So taking nanotechnology and all of the exciting promises that delivers and offering it at a scalable and affordable solution. So it's really a transition out of the lab for most of our partners and customers into world scale production of the very best materials engineering that's possible. At Forge Nano, we sell and produce a fleet of equipment, including some of our best-in-class research and development systems that allow researchers to do this for themselves and unlock their own materials capabilities in their own lab with atom-by-atom precision. We're the only company that makes this suite of particle ALD and ultra-fast ALD systems for the researcher. We also sell our large-scale systems like the Lithos in the middle here that allows us to offer full production, low-cost operation of industry-leading materials engineering, often leading to lower cost, higher performance products. And this technology has come out of the semiconductor industry, where materials engineering is a key enabler of next-gen semiconductor products. And we have taken it out of that industry, applied it to just about everything else with the level of control and optimization and unlocking capabilities that never existed before, as well as reapply what we learned to the semiconductor industry. And now our tools operate in a 10x speed, 100x efficiency operation mode that significantly unlocks additional performance improvements and benefits to the semiconductor industry. When we apply this to the lithium-ion battery space as part of our company ethos, we are focused on improving the performance and safety of lithium-ion batteries, enabling a lower cost, higher performance, faster adoption to aid with the energy transition. Our atomic armor coatings optimized for lithium-ion can unlock out of existing materials and existing supply chains higher energy density, increased cycle life, improved safety, and improved fast charge capability. So really, we are applying our best-in-class materials engineering capabilities to unlock performance that is already inherent in the materials that are already existing in lithium-ion batteries that are used every day. But this type of movement towards the theoretical maximum and this type of unlock for mitigation of unwanted reactions such as thermal runaway, this is all improved upon out of those materials by very precise, very fine level of materials coatings with atomic level precision that we can unlock with our process that gives us best-in-class lithium-ion battery capabilities and is applicable towards kind of all of the next generation of battery technologies, where they all rely on base materials innovations, but in combination with our coating capabilities and the ability to fine-tune and unlock performance benefits that aren't nascent in the existing materials as they are. So if we take a look at some of the third-party data generated by our atomic armor coatings, you can see that on the anode side, coatings on graphite can significantly improve the cycle life, including this data right here from one of our OEM partners is unlocking the potential of silicon, a material that has much higher energy density, but thus far nobody has solved the cycle life issue that allows an end customer to get to over 1,000 cycles, which is essentially the EV market, which is being pursued by most companies in the space. So we take the existing materials in the market, we upgrade them, and we can unlock this significant improvement in performance. Same thing on the anode side, or I'm sorry, rather the cathode side, where we're agnostic to the cathode chemistries. This works for battery materials that go in cell phones, battery materials that go in ESS storage, and battery materials that go in electric vehicles. We unlock significantly better lifetime performance and improve those materials so that the full engineered cell, when you combine our added solutions to lithium-ion batteries on both the anode and the cathode materials, creates a significantly improved battery at a even lower cost than exists today, and using the existing supply chain. We've partnered with many companies within the space, with some of the ones we can talk about on both the cathode and anode side with 6K and Innovion. Our company has been in the market doing development work with several OEMs. We've received investment from several OEMs and are continuing to commercialize this technology into both larger scale consumer electric vehicle grid storage, but also through our partnerships within the high performance battery space, where Forge Nano's created a full cell solution, got it tested, validated, implemented into several high-end and high performance applications, and generated about 3.5 billion worth of signed offtake agreements from customers in the high demand defense, aerospace, really first mover beachhead types of companies, and that has generated enough demand for us to start Forge Battery, which is our cell production facility located in North Carolina. This facility will implement our full cell solution on both the anode and cathode materials, producing a best-in-class lithium-ion battery cell specifically for high-end consumers of the lithium-ion battery technologies, with a capacity of 3 gigawatt hours coming online in 2026. So we really appreciate the opportunity to provide an overview here. We believe material science is the key enabler for the next generation of not just lithium-ion batteries, but almost all key innovative markets that are going to unlock higher performance, improve safety, and help with the energy transition. So thank you so much.
This concludes our startups for the day. A big thank you to all the startups for their insightful and informative presentations, showcasing innovations that are truly transforming the landscape of e-mobility and EV security. For our next agenda item, I'll hand it over to Lale once more to start our expert panel discussion.
Hi guys, thank you Emrecan, and thanks for everybody for making it till so far. I'm actually looking forward to this panel. We have like 5 experts from the field that have incredible opinions about the topic of e-mobility. We'll deep dive, we'll have a comprehensive overview of e-mobility in this panel. I'm not actually going to introduce everybody separately. I'd much rather if everybody takes turn to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what you do and in what context you work with e-mobility. Let's start with Mr. Bilal Yıldız. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mr. Bilal?
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Lale Hanım. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the whole Plug and Play team and the startups and all participants. I'm working as electronic systems manager at Istanbul Airport, and I'm responsible for many different type of electronic systems, including some IoT applications. And in these IoT applications, and also we are right now we are developing our own e-mobility ecosystems based on the IoT data. That's all.
Perfect. Great to have you here. And then we have Ozan Bey, Ozan Karakış. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sure. Ozan Karakış, my name. I'm in charge of airside operations, where aircraft movements are taking place at Istanbul Airport. I'm in charge of crisis management as well at the airport. I'm the end user of the science of what you have been doing.
So you get all the complaints, basically. When there's a problem, they find you. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And we have Mr. Seçkin Dilek. Merhaba Seçkin Bey. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for invitation. My name is Seçkin, and I am working as a head of innovation at Otokoç Automotive. I'm responsible for the innovation programs, startup collaborations, and startup investments.
And as a side note, actually, Otokoç is another corporate partner of ours. We've been working very closely with Otokoç for the past 3 years. So thank you very much, Seçkin Bey, for being here. And we have Taha Bey here as well.
Yes, hello.
That would be great
Thank you
for
very
you to
much.
introduce yourself as well, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for the iGA team and the Plug and Play team to inviting me to this session. My name is Taha. I'm the co-founder and CEO of NovoCycle, and we're developing different technologies across the supply chain of lithium-ion batteries to bring true circularity to them, from recycling of lithium-ion batteries to recycling-friendly designs for the mobility sector. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward for this.
Thank you. Thank you. And finally, we have Atalay Bey.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you very much for today to Plug and Play and iGA teams. As Adastek, we are a level 4 automated driving technology company. We develop automated driving solution for specifically city buses globally. And I'm one of the co-founders and responsible for OEM relations and implementations, the buses on the field. Thank you very much again for today.
Great to have you here. So in the interest of time, we have basically less than half an hour, and the topic itself is really deep. I'm sure everybody has a lot to say. Let's deep dive straight into it, and I'd like to start with Bilal Bey, actually. I know there's a lot of effort within iGA in terms of EV and e-mobility. It's one of the main focuses. You've done a lot of projects. You've been working on many successful sub-areas. So what do you have to say? Could you maybe talk us through a few of your projects, or like anything you'd like to say about that area, about the efforts that's been going on within iGA?
Yeah, thank you very much again. Just I would like to start about our e-mobility ecosystem understanding, and from the beginning we are planning to actually we are focusing on developing IoT and the e-mobility ecosystem in our airport. As everybody knows, Istanbul Airport is one of the largest and busiest airport in the world, and many of the people are already used our terminal buildings. There are crazy big terminal building, and we are talking about right now there are 3 different runway. And there are crazy airside operation, and Mr. Ozan is responsible for this operation. That's why we are using a lot of different vehicles. And right now in the terminal building and on the rest of the terminal building, there are a lot of different EV cars and buggies, scooters, and the vehicles. And also we have our IoT platforms, and in this platform we are focusing to collect many different type of data from each equipments from the field. And in this subject, in e-mobility subject, we already implemented our tracking solution on our EV buggy cars in the terminal buildings. And right now we are collecting all type of information from these EV cars, and also we are working with our SAS team. And SAS team already replaced the batteries of these buggy cars, and it was very successful. And already we implemented our DC chargers in our terminal buildings. And right now we are collecting BMS data from each and buggy cars. And with that data, it is possible to manage what's going on in the field. No need to tracking the exact locations, because if we are talking about the customer satisfaction and the customer happiness, as you know, these buggy cars are used by our premium customers. So if you are talking about the customer experience when you are planning to reach your aircraft, so everything should be perfect. Because if you're talking about, if we are thinking as the customer passengers, and if you, when you arrive to the terminal building, just you are focusing to the reaching your aircraft. And that's why there was a lot of different problem in our buggy cars, and our SAS team replace whole battery type and the DC charging station with the new one. And after that, we implemented our IoT modules to that each EV cars, and we are collecting battery information, consumption information, and some and faults from the each EV cars. And also, which way there are another big development from the field, and unfortunately, there was no exact solution for EV cars for the battery safety. And unfortunately, there are no data sets for the battery fire problems. With that project, and also we are collecting temperature information and the cell information, cell voltage information from the each batteries. And already we are developing our own algorithm, and we are predicting fire from each buggy cars, because as everybody know, and already there was 4 different startups explain about many different details about the fire safety and the fire problem about the lithium batteries. And if we don't want to think about that, and if there was any kind of fire in the terminal building, it will be very, how can I say, dangerous for our passengers and also for our terminal buildings. That's why we are planning to predict fire from each lithium batteries. That's why we are collecting the information from the BMS systems. And right now we are using our own algorithm on our own IoT platforms. And we can say that in last week there was some POC testing in our batteries, and we increased the fire temperature, and we collect some information after that. The algorithm is said that there are some fire problem in that buggy car, please check it, and forward this push notification to the field workers. Yeah, and that's all.
That's amazing. And I've just noticed you mentioned customer satisfaction a few times while talking. You know, when we think about, e-mobility and EV and things like that, in most conversations, they're used as futuristic things. But when you actually apply to business and see what's going on, what kind of feedback you get, it can impact the most basic thing and the most important thing for the corporate, which is customer satisfaction. With the data you're tracking, I'm sure it's going to improve even further. And congratulations really for digging so deep in this field. And Bilal Bey, also you mentioned the EV charging station to us at Istanbul Airport a few times. Could you tell us a little bit more, like to the audience here, what's going on there, what you're doing, and how it is going so far? What are
Actually,
the details?
that sector is so new, but in our airport there are more than 50 chargers, the EV chargers in our airport, in terminal buildings, in the apron side and the rest of the terminal building. There are more than 50 charging stations, the AC and the DC, both of them. And also there are more than 700 EV cars in our ecosystems. I'm not just talking about the typical vehicles. I'm talking about buggies and some equipments and some, how can I say, the buggies and something like that. There are more than 700 equipments in the field. And soon we are planning to extend our e-mobility portfolio with the EV cars in the apron, and also there are a lot of different EV vehicles in the apron, and Mr. Ozan Bey will explain more details about how they are using. And soon we are planning to extend our portfolio with the EV cars for our daily operation. And we are planning to install more than 100 EV charging stations soon in the terminal buildings and aprons.
You are definitely very busy with technology. Thanks for being such a great partner of Plug and Play as well. We hope to actually announce some of the POCs we've been doing together very soon, but watch the space for that. Ozan Bey, actually, you've been working closely with Bilal Bey, as far as I know. And there is, would you like to talk about your side of the operation, maybe you can talk about some of the advantages of using EVs. What Bilal Bey has mentioned that you were already utilizing a fleet of EVs. You work very closely with EVs, but like in terms of operations, what kind of challenges do you face? What happens? And maybe would you be interested in utilizing some of the, for example, EV security startups that you've met here? Would they look interesting to you?
Well, first, let me say working with Bilal is very difficult because actually working with your kinds of people is quite difficult because you think very quick, you act very quick. So Bilal is a very quick thinker and is quite impatient, but we cope. Well, in aviation part of the airport, the first biggest thing that we are coming close is eVTOL, vertical takeoff and landing aircraft that are powered by electric, which we will see now in operation in Olympics in Paris in coming months. There will be passenger transport like taxis, but in air from both airports in Paris to a village of Olympics. eVTOL is certainly one of the biggest new mobility types in air transport. And soon I'm sure we will start to see that in many, many more cities, capitals perhaps. It poses challenges. It poses challenges that now the housing districts will start to hear more of these aircraft. They come with some noise. Then they, of course, require quite a big resource to charge and take off, be maintained, and land. So eVTOL is one new thing that is coming close to our operation in airports. We are looking for ways to engage that type of air mobility into conventional air mobility. The second thing is almost 3,000 vehicles exist under the aircraft. Catering vehicles, emergency response vehicles, towing vehicles, buses. Here in Istanbul airport, we converted almost 28% of all into electric.
Wow.
And the pace is quite high. As operating cost of electric vehicles is quite low. And we also certainly want to decrease our carbon footprint. One area that I think I can say as a challenge, I'm in charge of emergency response and crisis management at the airport.
Other than the electricity bill, I might add.
Yeah, of course. Aviation is highly regulated. Our response times, type of material we carry, activities we perform, and they are quite time limited, but they need to be very precise and very quick. So that requires the vehicles we use, them being converted into electric is a challenge. Type of emergencies, sort of under very heavy snowfall, we require a lot of hours. Vehicles cannot be really charged. And their horsepower per se needs to be quite high. So that is a challenge, but I know industry is working on it. It will come. Among these 3,000 vehicles, we see none of them cannot be converted to electric. All of them can be electric, but it requires a little bit time. Charging is one issue, infrastructure-wise. Then battery disposal is another issue. We don't dispose batteries here, but disposing of batteries we know is quite a challenge for people like us from the field. I think these cover your question basically.
Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you so much. I'll move to Seçkin Bey. You are known to be one of the leaders in terms of sustainability-focused mobility. What is going on in terms of EVs in your place? What kind of work are you doing these days? And maybe some of the innovation trends and technologies you may want to discuss or add.
Well, I would like to start with our EV transition strategy of Otokoç Automotive. We are not car manufacturers, so our strategy is we are paving the way for EV transition. Our mission is design and realize the infrastructure that enable people to drive EVs more safely and more easily. In line with this strategy, we design and realize some projects with the 3 years. In 2022, we have investment, two important investments in terms of EV. One of them is Watt Mobility. Watt Mobility is a joint venture company that is established with the 4 Koç Group company, Otokoç, Opet, Entek, and Watt. And the other investment is a startup investment. Maybe you know Blue Dot. It's a mobile app. We can call it EV charging assistant. You can find the location of charging stations. You can pay, and you can track your spendings with Blue Dot app. And 1 year later, I mean in 2023, we focused on enlarging our car parks in terms of EVs with different brands, such as Tok, Tesla, or BMW. And also, if you are a mobility company, you have to diversify your products and your cars, not only 4-wheeled automobiles, but also you have to put the micromobility in your fleet and car parks.
Sure.
So Otokoç made an investment in a domestic bike manufacturer called Alba. Alba is a startup, and our second investments in terms of startups. And with the Alba, Otokoç just start to rent and sell micromobility products in scooters and different types of e-bikes. And also we have some projects, some Horizon Europe projects. For example, ZIVAP, it's a we are stakeholder of these projects, and these projects aims to design and manufacture the mini mobility, 3-wheeled mini mobility and compact, swappable, zero emission, like that. And lastly, in these years, as an innovation manager, our agenda is the user experience of EV transitions. For example, home charging products, and also we are working on a project about the user experience centers for EVs. And also today we are scouting and searching some startups in second used car EVs pricings, used car EVs price valuations startups or companies, and also EV fleet management platforms and startups. We are scouting and working on these kind of technologies.
There's a lot of things to work with on your plate, so best of luck. But at least, you know, you're putting a lot of effort into the newly developing area, and I'm sure the fruits of it will come very soon. Yeah, looking forward to again doing more together in that field. Yeah, I think we have 2 finalists that I haven't asked questions yet. We have Atalay Bey from Adastek. Atalay Bey, maybe you may talk a little bit about your startup first. I know you quickly mentioned what you do, but maybe a couple more lines to give more information, and on top of it, you can elaborate on how you work with e-mobility and, you know, in EV, electrical vehicles.
Thank you very much again. May I share my screen for just 2 minutes video? As I said, okay, you see, I think, my video. This is these are some main functions of our automated driving platform. we develop electric level 4 automated buses with electric buses only from 6 meters to 12 meters. And we have implemented these buses several cities all over the world. Now I'm sharing with you short video from our implementations from Norway, Finland, Michigan, France, Belgium. As you see, our operations, which is driverless operation. The driver is safe to operate, but full day driverless operation for 2 years. Our buses in service as the one of the normal buses of city.
That's very impressive. One question that comes to mind as you're presenting is, what was the process of the decision to sell to Norway, for example, and how did they take it? Why did you, it was one of the first places you sold, as far as I know, and what was that decision like?
The main decision factor is the cost of the driver.
Yeah.
First, the countries that we are in operation, the countries, the yearly cost of the driver is 50,000 euro minimum. This is the main trigger for automated buses as far as we see as of today. Of course, second subject is the requirement of bus service. If it is more than 18 hours a day, or like airports, 24 hours a day, it means 4 drivers for 1 bus. If there is 50 buses, you need 200 drivers in the operation, means hell of cost. And if the buses are automated buses in controlled area at the airport, you can save a lot of money from the driver cost, and you are more flexible and you are more capable. Okay.
So is
as
Norway...
of today, this is our type of buses. We have 7 different brand of buses for different continents. Custom Denning for Australia, Vicinity for the US, and Karsan for Europe market. That's all. This is my presentation. This is the brief information of Adastec.
Thank you so much. That's super interesting. That's for sure something to deep dive on for us at another session when we have more time. But I can see the advantages. I can see, I'm sure like Norway has made great savings already. Don't really want to think about what happened to the drivers. I don't want to think about what they're doing now, but I'm sure they could recycle their skill sets into something else that's more productive.
There are 400,000 driver shortage just in Europe and another 500,000 driver shortage in the US.
Wow. So they have enough on their plates.
UPS signed agreement with each and every driver yearly $160,000 US per year per driver.
Okay, so it's actually an announcement for the audience, potentially not a bad occupation to take on. Thank you so much. Thanks for the presentation. Taha, I'd love you to tell you a little bit about your company, as well, please, and how you work with EVs. That'd be great to know.
Sure. Thank you, Lala Hanım. I think, first of all, very impressive what is going on in terms of electrification in the airport and then iGA. I mean, we're talking about more than 700 electric vehicles only in the airport, and then for the aircrafts, more than 3,000 vehicles, of which 30% are electrified already. That's quite impressive. And yes, I mean, first of all, before I go into Novocycle, I would like to address that we just imagine about these battery demands that we have and recent EV outlook of the International Energy Agency showed a really drastic forecast for these battery demands only for the transportation sector. We're talking about the tripling of the demand for batteries until 2030 and the 10x until 2050. And
Can
all
we
these
really
batteries,
handle that, by the way? Can we really handle that much growth?
right now, and this is the biggest topic, is that we will face material shortages. So all these batteries are produced with really critical raw materials. And the demand for this critical raw materials with these numbers will be much higher than the supply is possible currently in the world. So we need to work for alternative battery chemistries that are much more available. For example, sodium-ion batteries. You know, Turkey is a big country for sodium, so that might be very beneficial for our country needs. But in general, until these technologies are there, lithium-ion batteries are the ones to go. With electric vehicles, we have the issue that they're locally emission-free, but that doesn't mean that they're emission-free in the total life cycle. So right now, we really have a big transition of the phase of the emissions to the production phase of these lithium-ion batteries. And the disposal is really a challenge, like what was mentioned before. So how batteries were recycled until today is the main recycling process is crushing and shredding those batteries down to something called a black mass. And this black mass contains all types of materials. Yes, there are critical raw materials inside, but also plastics, binder rests, organic elements. And now you would need like a 7 to 8 chemical steps process in order to extract the materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel selectively. What we did from Novocycle is, because this is economically a nightmare, we reduced this into directly recovering the active materials in their original forms by developing an automation in order to dismantle those batteries, getting the separators and the cathodes and anodes in separate processes. And we developed a worldwide patented gasification process to recover those active materials. And what we reached with our automotive manufacturing partners is we were able to reintroduce those active materials that we recovered into the production of a new battery at 100% rate. And this battery reached 100% performance in the beginning of this year. So we truly were able to prove that the circularity is possible, the disposal is possible, and it is economical feasible. Because with that, with our business model, we are now able to give back a revenue share to our customers. So we recycle those batteries for free, and whatever money we make with the active materials, we give back a 10% revenue share to the customers that we have in order to really close the loop. Yes, and I want to keep it with that. Of course, we're also having other technologies that we're working on, like recycling-friendly battery designs, etc., etc. But I think we can deep dive that another time.
Let's take it at a separate session. Let's take you at another session, actually. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. It's been a super fruitful discussion for me. I'm sure the audience agrees. Thank you so much for being here. We discussed many topics covering EVs and actually e-mobility. We've seen, we have been, as people in the ecosystem, we have been observing there's so much going on. But actually, when people directly from inside the EV world or e-mobility world come here and tell us what they're doing, then that's really mind-blowing. I think we can have like 40 sessions just focusing on this topic, and we can talk about the developments in the space. But still, we won't have enough time. Thank you so much. That's the end of the panel. I think the panel was the final session of our event. I'll pass the stage to Emrecan for the final words. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for our expert panel and all the attendees. With this panel, we've arrived at the end of our meetup. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed our content. You can follow our upcoming events by subscribing to the Plug and Play newsletter from our website. And you can always reach out to us for any comments and feedback. We will also share the recording of this session via email, and also we'll put it up on YouTube for future reference. Thank you once again for joining. We look forward to seeing you in our future meetups.